Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Vincent Ning, and I'm here to talk about the founder mindset, how it's kind of developed in my life, how it's shaped the decisions I've made, and how it can apply in yours. So I was born in Nova, like many of you, UVA. I went to UVA, graduated 2 years ago in 2015 from the College of Arts and Sciences. And while I was here at UVA, I started this company called NOSTRAJAMUS, and I'll touch on that later. And right after graduating, I worked at this small startup called Microsoft, where I was here for about a year before I started my own company again called Scaphold, with another UVA fellow that worked on NOSTRAJAMUS with us. And as part of Scaphold, we did Y Combinator in the winter batch, and now we raised money and we're out of it, and we're a real startup. And that's me, humble beginnings, that's me. So I want to take a quick deep dive into my time here at UVA. I think it was very crucial in terms of shaping my experiences and my thoughts around entrepreneurship. Particularly Liz Pyle, she was kind of like my guide in terms of, I guess, like teaching me about entrepreneurship, how to think about it, and the programs here that really help, bring you into the whole seat. So I guess I'll backtrack like 6 years ago. I was applying to colleges from high school, and I actually wanted to be a doctor. No surprise there. My parents wanted me to do it, and I was like, sure. So I actually got into Watch U in St. Louis, almost went there, and then kind of like took a last week to think about it and realized that I wasn't really sure if I wanted to be a doctor. So I thought UVA might be a better place because there's more. Like Watch U's more known for like a medical school, and UVA has more to explore, more options. So I went to UVA, and within 2 weeks, I kind of crossed that one off my list. I didn't want to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a banker. That's what's cool these days. So I went and joined all these clubs, AK Sci, for instance, learned about finance, financial modeling, basically how to make money. And I did that for a couple years. I even majored in econ. I still love the subject, but I thought I wanted some sort of hard skill. So crossed that one off my list, went into computer science. This was kind of like, I have a long relationship with computer science. I guess both my parents were computer scientists, and it was one of those things where growing up, like, you didn't want to do what your parents did because that was really lame. So I was like, I'm not gonna be a computer scientist. They sit in front of computers all day, they don't go talk to people, so I'm not gonna go do that. But after kind of going through the whole process of elimination, I thought computer science was a good hard skill to have that I saw. I was kind of looking across industries and thinking, like, technology is so prevalent that no matter what I do, as long as I have this hard skill, I'd be okay. So that's what I did. But long story short, I couldn't even make a decision on what I wanted to major in. It took me 2 years, basically. It took me until UVA forced me to decide on a major, and that's kind of what happened. So I don't think there's a right answer. And I don't think there's ever like a direct path to doing what you want to do. Except to be a doer. So the one thing that I kind of realized while like in my state of unknowingness, I just went and joined a bunch of clubs and met a bunch of great people. And as part of being a doer, you kind of get a free bonus of meeting other doers. And it's so crucial that now, even these days, I started my company with a fellow who, and also I guess, and all my friends here who support me today are also, from my AK Sci community, and my roommate, Sean, over here. So yeah, that's great. And Go Who's, of course, you guys saw that earlier. And I want to dive deeper into this one chapter of my life here at UVA, where I started this company called NOSTRAJAMUS with a couple of friends of mine during my 4th year. This was kind of like a pretty crucial, experience in my entrepreneurial life. I had this job lined up at Microsoft, and basically I started this music startup during my 4th year because I thought it was cool, and my other kind of priority during my 4th year was to go sit at Trinity. So I thought this was a great way to learn how to develop apps and stuff. And as part of this process, I did learn how to develop apps. We basically were fantasy sports for music. Very college-y type startup, and this was our first landing page, super janky, but one thing I learned from reading startup literature as a college student was to launch as soon as possible. So that's what we did. We just put up the jankiest website that probably broke every like 5 times you hit it. And this is the one thing that we learned, was just to launch as soon as possible, because no matter what you build, your users are going to be the ones telling you like what to build, what features to build, how to focus on your product. And so the quickest way to get that feedback is to get your product in the hands of those customers. And within a short amount of time, this is kind of what our site became. It was pretty content filled. You could basically like stream music off of here, enter contests, win prize money, etc. And we learned that to build a great product, you got to iterate fast, you got to listen to your users. And lo and behold, we did the E-Cup in 2014. This picture, I think Alex showed earlier. But we won $10,000 to scale out the company for marketing, for software development, for everything. And we even went to Vegas to pitch as a student startup at this thing called Collision Conference during finals, which was amazing. And we blew the rest of the 10K then. I don't think I've ever told anyone that until today. But that's where the money went. Thanks, eSchool. So as any storyline goes, in college we graduated, and the 5 of us who started all went on to work at big jobs. One went to Bain, another one went to Cambridge, 2 of us went to Microsoft, and another one went to Deloitte. So we kind of had a decision to make whether or what to do with our startup. And it wasn't really making money, but we did keep the site up for like another year after that. It was just a little baby of ours that we thought was really cool to keep alive and show friends, even in our professional lives. So we went and did that. I moved to this beautiful city named Seattle, lived there for about a year and a half, and landed at Microsoft. And this was my first desk. I was really adulting hard here. And I thought that the best way to my thought process in joining Microsoft as opposed to another startup, although I loved it so much, was that Microsoft's just known for having like some of the best engineers in the world, and that was something that I really wanted to get good at. So I went to go join Microsoft to basically learn from the best. But I did keep that startup card in my back pocket because I knew I'd come to revisit it later on in my career. Working at Microsoft comes with perks. This is what we did pretty much like every weekend. So, if you're deciding between startup or corporate life, this is what you get to do. But there was one big problem, and that was basically I built something that I wasn't passionate about. I worked in like the internal tools team at Microsoft, helping manage like the financial platform system. It's a mouthful and it sucks. We're working like shitty SAP software and like integrating ridiculous, APIs. But anyways, I learned a lot as far as like software development life cycles, product development, releases in like a mature company, and I carried that forward to my current startup. But it wasn't something that I really cared to work on, and so basically Michael's my co-founder. We were roommates in Seattle. We both moved out together, and ever since day one, we were looking for ways to quit. So we basically, there's this software, there's this, I guess, an open source library called GraphQL that came out of Facebook. And essentially we started playing around and we thought it was really cool in terms of helping you build APIs for the non-technical folks there. And we started playing around with it. We had like a basic hosted like MVP going on. And we told one of my buddies who was building an app at the time, so it's an app development platform, told one of my buddies to use our platform, and it was super buggy. He hated us, but we love him for it because he helped us drive so many of the features to which we applied to Y Combinator for. We were basically a GraphQL backend as a service, kind of like Parse or Firebase, if you guys, for the engineers in the room who've used that to build apps. And essentially we expose APIs without ever having to write any server-side code. So no need to spin up any infrastructure, no need to go through AWS, like just use our service. Within a matter of minutes, you'll have an API, like a backend set up for you. This is our site now, and this is us when we joined YC. So I kind of want to rewind a little bit. One of the biggest turning points in my life was when we got into YC. They kind of asked us during the 10-minute interview, like point blank, if we would quit our jobs, if they gave us funding. And keep in mind, it wasn't like that much money. It was like 20K to go quit our like 100K jobs. And so we were like, shit, what do we do? So we said yes, obviously on the spot, just to keep the window open. But then we came back and like in our like internal heart, like we knew like we really wanted to do this. Like ever since day one at Microsoft, like I said, we wanted to quit. And we wanted to go do a startup because our NOSTRAJAMUS experience was so much fun. But then we called our parents, and it was not great. They were like pretty much the biggest negative force in this entire situation. Like all of our friends, pretty much hard and fast line, like under the age of 35, were like, hell yeah, go do that. And then everyone above 35 was just like, no, you just started your career, keep your cushy job at Microsoft, you're making good money, don't fuck up. So, you know, being 22-year-olds and listening to our friends, we went and did this. And you know, since then, we started in 2016. It started as a side project, and then we started doing it full-time after YC funded us. And then now we have over 6,000 apps on the platform and raised about $1.5 million after this past winter. So we did actually YC twice. We did like a kind of like, think about it as like a JV varsity program, JV program like last summer, and then we did kind of like a core program this past winter. Met a lot of great people, kind of like the high priests of Silicon Valley, teaching you how to build your company. And it was truly like a novel experience, and it was something that I never regret. This is kind of our like humble beginnings, our shady little house in Mountain View, where we actually sat with not just me and Michael, but 3 companies total. So we were just back to back with 2 other companies in our batch working on this thing. So it was like not glorious at all. Like as far as YC funding goes, like you think it's great, but this is what reality looks like. And more reality sets in. But the one thing I will say is that, you know, the difference between like working at Microsoft and doing a startup is that being a startup, you're really like passionate about what you do. You like own a majority stake in your company, and like this is something that you really care to kind of like force into the world, and have people use it and have people love it. And so I would say, you know, it is the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, but the one thing that you don't miss out on is that you love every single moment of it. And you know, one last thing I want to leave you guys with is this is YC's mantra: make something people want, and I live and die by this every day. And if you want to learn more about any of these things like product marketing, hiring, investing, whatever, come talk to me. I'll be here. Thanks, guys.